Hi, and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Karen.
And I'm Chris Gorski.
Today is September 11th. My gosh, when we say that out loud, you have to think of something.
That's right. When I received the article, I looked at the top of our article and I saw September 11th, and my mind instantly jumped to when I was in college. I walked out of my history class and there was a big gathering around a TV, a big box TV. And sure enough, I looked up and you could see the World Trade Centers on fire. This is the anniversary of the attack in New York City.
I was at home looking after my kids, and suddenly the TV was just playing that same clip over and over and over again. I thought, my God, what happened?
That's, what is that? That was around evening time. It was quite late for you,
That's
like 9:30,
right.
10 o'clock.
It was the time when I have to be making dinner and then looking after my kids.
Yeah, and how could you look away?
Yeah, so it didn't even hit me because it was written just 11409111. It didn't hit me because it was written out only in digits. But as soon as you said it, I go, oh my gosh.
Yes, so I need to reform my articles into a certain style or I'll read everything incorrectly. It's very important that I write it a certain way for my own mind to work. And of course, I typed out September 11th and instantly I jumped to it. Yeah.
All right, so if you don't know what September 11th is all about, just hurry up and Google it. We're going to move on to a different topic, however. We're on page 34 in your magazines. And our title today, and this is a two-part article, this is part one. Our title is Discover Taoyuan from City Buzz to Ancient Charm.
So buzz is a nice word. Generally, when I think about buzz, because I teach younger children, I tell them that this is the sound that bees make. And I use it as an opportunity to introduce the ES sound. So buzz, buzzes, just like Chris's, which is one of those little things that younger children need to learn. But here, city buzz is more about like the energy and excitement of a place.
That's right. When I saw and heard this word, this very, very old song from before my time came to mind. Be my little baby bumblebee, buzz around, buzz around, buzz around. That was from an I Love Lucy episode, so I don't have the melody quite right. But that's the first thing I thought of was that song, and bumblebees buzzing around. It buzzes like Chris pointed out to us. Don't say buzz. Okay, we can't do that. Buzzes. And so buzz in this case, yeah, it means like the vibe, kind of the feeling. It often means news. What's the buzz on this? What's the news? What's the information on something?
That's right. That's a great point. And buzz also, if you are a little bit older, you may remember some of the older wires and technology. If there's a loose connection, you can literally hear the buzz of these machines generating electricity. And that's also where the origin of where like energy and buzzing become intertwined. Ancient charm is just kind of talking about some of the older things that you can also do while discovering Taoyuan.
Right. And like I mentioned earlier, we could probably use the word vibe here from City Vibe. V-I-B-E. That's short for vibration, but vibe just means the feeling that a place gives you.
Taoyuan might be the first place every foreigner experiences when they first arrive in Taoyuan. Because, of course, we're talking about the area where the international airport is located.
And my business collaborator lives in Taoyuan, so I go to Taoyuan once a week.
Ah, very nice.
And I love the place. I found they have a lot of good restaurants.
That's what I hear, too. I actually have a friend that just moved to Taipei from Taoyuan, and he said he loved eating at the markets. Like, he really, really loved eating at the markets. And I asked him, isn't that unhealthy? He's like, yeah, but the food's really good.
That's not where we eat. We go to places that actually have a building.
Sure.
And there's some excellent places, like there's a Vietnamese restaurant there. Man, I wish it were in Taipei. I would take my friends there every time we had to eat out.
That's one of the foods he eats, actually.
There you go.
That's right. He says, because of all the immigrants there, there's great international markets there. And so you have a great variety of flavors. He talks specifically about the Vietnamese food.
Actually, yes, because when I go out traveling, I often meet Vietnamese because they've opened restaurants there. Their presence can really be felt. Like when I went down south, I went to Hang Chun, it was the same thing. I met a lot of Vietnamese.
There's a new Vietnamese sandwich restaurant not terribly far from where I live, and I am just friends with everyone there. I am there all the time.
Somebody likes banh mi.
Yes, they're very accommodating to a vegetarian, which is great and wonderful. And Hey, ladies, can I have a sandwich?
Because usually Vietnamese food is mostly meaty.
That's right.
All right, let's go to our article, Discover Taoyuan from City Buzz to Ancient Charm. Ask someone from Zhongli, and they'll likely tell you they're from Zhongli rather than calling themselves a Taoyuan person. This clear distinction is no accident. It stems from a combination of history, strong local economies, and a deep sense of self-identity.
Historically, Taoyuan has been informally divided into two main regions. The north, centered around Taoyuan District, and the south, led by Zhongli District. This rivalry dates back to the Qing dynasty when records indicate these two settlements frequently clashed. Even after administrative unification, a core ethnic divide held firm. The north was mostly Minnan people, while the south mainly consisted of Hakka communities. Over time, this difference gave rise to distinct regional identities.
Economically, both Taoyuan District and Zhongli District stand as vibrant, self-sufficient urban hubs, each with a comparable population size. They've both built full-service city areas ranging from educational institutions and medical facilities to retail shops and cultural venues. Because of this parallel development, people in Zhongli rarely need to travel to Taoyuan District for leisure or services, and vice versa. This strong independence truly cuts down on any need for one area to rely on the other.
Additionally, identifying oneself as a Zhongli person serves a practical purpose for unambiguous communication. Specifically, this helps residents avoid confusion with those from Taoyuan District, especially since the district shares its name with the entire city. Eventually, what started as a local identity has grown into a meme or an inside joke that further strengthens Zhongli's unique character within Taoyuan City.
Now, I'm thinking that if you are Taiwanese listening to this broadcast, you'll have a pretty good idea what we're talking about. But if you are not from Taiwan or haven't spent a lot of time living here, you may not know very much about Zhongli and about Taoyuan, where they are, what kind of places they are. So if that is the case, I recommend you Google them first, and then you'll have a better idea what we're talking about, where these places are.
Actually, that's a great point because maybe a third category, what about people that just never spent a lot of time in Zhongli or Taoyuan, which is my case. I knew that they were next to each other, but I didn't really know about the cultural differences between them. I suppose especially going back to more pre-modern times, the times where people maybe had their own individual languages and tribes and cultures. To me, that's pretty new, if I'm being totally honest.
I also did not know about this at all. I have family who lives in Zhongli, and my collaborator lives in Taoyuan. I had no idea.
Yeah, to me, honestly, the whole area is basically the big airport area. And I know that's so unfair. I'm just telling you as a person without a lot of experience, Zhongli, Taoyuan, I'm like, oh yeah, that's where you take the airplane.
Kind of a black box to you.
Yeah, I just personally never had many connections other than my friend who just recently moved to Taoyuan, and we only ever discussed this because I knew he lived in the area, and I said, hey man, I got 48 minutes to talk about this place. Can you tell me something?
So you asked him ahead of time.
That's right. I said, Robert, because this article will actually discuss the international community and so forth, and I said, well, what's your perspective? Because he is very much one of the people this article refers to.
One day I decided I wanted to do a car trip on my own. So I picked a place, and I thought, well, Taoyuan's pretty close. And I went to the old street in Taoyuan. That was really, really fun. And the buildings, the architecture is beautiful. We'll talk about it later. That's the other thing I know about the place. So now I've told you just about everything I know.
That's right. My wife actually mentioned the old street too, because we don't live terribly far from Danshui Old Street. And she says, well, it's kind of like that. And it's too bad we didn't have a chance to go. I was exceptionally busy leading into this article. But that sounds like a fun little day trip because, like you said, it's what? How far away? It's close.
That's right. I highly recommend it. The architecture is really beautiful.
That sounds great.
Architecture is a thing in Taiwan. Some of it is just kind of thrown up carelessly, and some of it is really wonderful. The really old stuff and the very new stuff is pretty good. Some of the stuff in the middle, Okay, back to the beginning. We've already talked about our title. So the first paragraph, ask someone from Zhongli, and they'll likely tell you they're from Zhongli rather than calling themselves a Taoyuan person. And so, yeah, I've heard this sort of like, I have to put some Chinese in here. 是桃园的桃园还是中立的桃园? So people have to specify which part of the area you're talking about. This clear distinction is no accident. Now, I didn't know that it was a big deal at all. Just like Chris said, I know the area somewhat, but I didn't know this at all, that people really cared that much about it. It stems from a combination of history, strong local economies, and a deep sense of self-identity. This is all new to me. So it stems from simply means it comes from. The origin of it is this. History, that's pretty clear. Strong local economies. So it's not just history. It's kind of how the whole place grew economically after they moved there. And a sense of self-identity, so there were different groups of people with different identities.
So pay attention to our previous sentence here. This clear distinction is no accident. This is a phrase that my students typically stumble upon. They have the is no phrasing here. Don't say isn't no accident. We have to use the affirmative be verb here. That's right, is, and then no. And this is generally a little bit emphatic. We could just say there isn't a clear distinction. That's fine. That's totally fine here. But because we want to use is no accident, we're drawing a little emphasis to this to say, hey, watch out for this little thing here.
That's right. And we usually wouldn't say isn't an accident, because then we'd think it was a car accident. But if you say is no accident, then it becomes the idiom that you just explained. So isn't an accident. It isn't an accident, actually. It was done on purpose. Is no accident means, oh, there's a big reason behind why this happened.
Let's go on to paragraph 2. Historically, Taoyuan has been informally divided into two main regions. The north, centered around Taoyuan District, and the south, led by Zhongli District.
Now, this is helping explain better the difference between these two places, which some people probably never even heard of before. So now we know that the Taoyuan District is in the north, and then we've got the south, and then that's the Zhongli part of it.
So if you don't know that DI means two, just like BI means two, as in bicycle, today's a great day to finally memorize that because we have divided into. And I want you to pick up your pen and I want you to underline the DI here. We could also underline DIV, but DI is enough. In our first paragraph, we have the word distinction, and this DI also relates to two different parts. Later on, we're just going to see the regular verb ethnic divide. Actually, that's not a verb here. That's the noun form here.
You know, this reminds me, during break time, I was going through some of the books that Ivy sells, and one of them is called Prefixes, Roots, Suffixes. And I was just paging through it, and I couldn't put it down. I go, this is so interesting. It tells you all about the stuff that Chris just told you a little about just now.
Knowing your prefixes, suffixes, and like your little consonant blends it's a small thing. And if you're listening to this article today, probably your English is pretty good. Take some time and look back at some of those basics, and you'll be surprised how useful this is, especially at an advanced level, because you can apply this knowledge like, oh, DI means two. Okay, so this word is about separating things into parts.
And native speakers know the most basic ones, the most common ones, but most of them we native speakers don't know.
Or you don't even think about them.
And Wesley Lao Shi once said, this is one area where we L2 learners can do better than native speakers because Wesley has studied a lot of the etymologies. So when we're reading an article, he will often do what you just did. He'll give the etymologies. I'll think, that's so interesting. I didn't know that.
It's so fascinating, isn't it? Oh, I should talk to him about this. Okay.
You guys should really have a good conversation about that.
All right. Our next sentence. This rivalry dates back to the Qing dynasty when records indicate these two settlements frequently clashed. So we might have some fights. I'll tell you the truth. I am interested in Taiwanese history. I don't know this. I don't know why they fought. I'm guessing it's generally about land or who can live where or what kind of trade we're going to doing. So we're just going to go with, hey, sometimes they had problems.
Right. Whenever people clash, there's usually money or land or rights, those kinds of things that are involved. And it's like you are sort of stepping on my feet. You have some things that I think should be mine. That's when we have rivalries and clashes.
I like this word rivalry because it's a better and clearer word than enemy. We have some places or some people that just don't get along. And if in the wrong situation, maybe it could result in physical violence. But a rivalry can just be a simple competition. And in some ways, some people take their rivalries to make each other better. They want to be number one, and they'll push each other, and there can be friendly rivalries. I want to be the person that's number one and on top, and this person is closing in. I need to get better. And in many ways, some rivalries can just, iron sharpens iron, that your competition makes you even better.
That's true. But in the case where people are not fighting over resources, where there is enough for everybody, they will probably live in peace.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right. Even after administrative unification, a core ethnic divide held firm.
So both these sides belong to Taoyuan County. However, those original divisions, or that original division, did not go away.
So we talked about DI meaning two, like BI as in bicycle. We also have UNI here in the same sentence. So now we have not two, but actually one. Administrative unification is just a really fancy phrase meaning, hey, the government is going to consider you one area for tax reasons. The North was mostly Minnan people, while the South mainly consisted of Hakka communities, which I feel like I should know, but that's great. That's interesting.
Right. And also, these have become loaded terms. Min, or Min, with the correct tone, is just Fujian province in China. And a very large majority of people in Taiwan came over to Taiwan from Fujian province. And that is Min. And especially the southern part of the province. So Nan is south. So Minnan just means southern Fujian. Some people do not like that word now. They want to say, well, we're Taiwanese. So that's the end of my mention of anything political, but just keep in mind that has become a political issue.
That's great to know, actually.
Yeah, so it didn't seem to be an issue in the past, but now people will bring it up, so I have to be careful what I write. All right, so Minnan is just the people who speak the dialect of Taiwanese that we hear so much over here. And then Hakka, we need the Chinese here, is Kejia. And there are Hakka people in many parts of mostly southern China and all over Taiwan. There are several places with concentrations of Hakka people. So these are two very large. Okay, Minnan is a majority. Hakka is not quite a majority. Hakka people also usually speak Minnan dialect or Taiwanese dialect. So they are a kind of minority. But taken together, they have been in Taiwan for a very long time, and they have distinct cultures.
Over time, this difference gave rise to distinct regional identities, which is exactly what you were just alluding to.
That's right. And so I will talk about my personal situation. My father-in-law came from a Hakka district of China, so thoroughly Hakka. He eventually left, came to Taiwan. He didn't even speak Hakka later on. He left when he was young. Why he forgot his Hakka, I still don't understand. But that was from a mainland-based Hakka group. So it's not the group that has been in Taiwan, say, for 500 years. So there is kind of a divide there. In addition, there is a divide between, it's called Hailu. That's one group. And then there's also, I think it's called Sixian, as I remember. So their Hakka is quite different. They can sort of understand each other, but it's really quite different.
This is all new to me.
Yeah. Because,
every single bit of it, yeah.
Because I've got it in my family.
That's
I'm really aware of it.
Very interesting.
So if you have time and interest, look into it. There are so many interesting things to find out. I have to throw in one funny other thing, and that is that they have their distinct cuisines. And the Hakka people tended to be quite poor. They worked the fields. And so they ate some foods that were often not valued by other people because it was left over and cheap. And one of them is the skin from the head of a pig.
Yeah.
And that's really valued in my family.
Oh.
At least by my father-in-law, because I think it brought back memories of his childhood.
Interesting.
Yeah, all of that is interesting. So look into this stuff. It is pretty interesting. It's fun. Let's move on to our next paragraph. Economically, both Taoyuan District and Zhongli District stand as vibrant, self-sufficient urban hubs, each with a comparable population size. There is a lot of information packed into this sentence. So we've already learned that we have two separate districts of Taoyuan City. We've got the Taoyuan District and the Zhongli District. Vibrant, actually, we talked about vibes earlier.
That's right,
Buzz,
right at the top.
Vibes, and here, vibrant is related to that. Vibrant means it's vibrating, but it just means it's very, very lively. And then self-sufficient, that means if you broke them up into two completely separate counties, they, wouldn't have to really bother each other for much because each one has pretty much what it needs. That's self-sufficient. Urban means relating to a city. An urban area means a city with busy streets and tall buildings. Hub means a center. That means a lot of the things all lead to the same place. That's a hub. Comparable, a lot of people actually will say comparable. I say comparable, but you see the word compare in it? That means the two can compare. That means they are roughly the same or equal. And population size, the number of people, so we know that each one has approximately the same number of people. All right, that's a lot of information to pack in one sentence. Let's move on. They've both built full-service city areas ranging from educational institutions and medical facilities to retail shops and cultural venues. This is another sentence with a lot of information. So when I say full service, what do you think of first?
Gas station.
Me too.
Yep.
This is a full service gas station. That means you will get everything you need here. We'll wash your windows and we'll check the air in your tires and everything else. We give you full service. That's what we think of first. But it can be applied to other things. So a city area that we can describe as full service, that means it has everything you need. And it's listing some of the things that we expect a city to offer, things that we often need. First of all is educational institutions. That just means schools. So from maybe kindergartens and preschools to elementary schools, junior highs, senior highs, even universities and colleges, it has all those things. Taoyuan really does have all those things, some good universities and colleges. Medical facilities, it has hospitals and clinics, retail shops, places to go shopping, cultural venues, that means they have cultural centers, they have arenas, and all kinds of other things. A venue is just a place where something happens. Because of this parallel development, people in Zhongli rarely need to travel to Taoyuan District for leisure or services, and vice versa. So, if you live in Zhongli, you don't necessarily often have to go to Taoyuan for something you need, and people in Taoyuan don't often have to travel to Zhongli for something they need. So vice versa means it's true this way. If you reverse the roles, it's also true. This strong independence truly cuts down on any need for one area to rely on the other. Each one is kind of self-sufficient. You don't rely on the other person for stuff you really need.
Let's wrap it up here. Additionally, identifying oneself as a Zhongli person serves a practical purpose for unambiguous communication. So let's look at our phrase identifying oneself as a Zhongli person. We have a nice little construction here. We can identify ourselves as something, and this is just a way of saying this is how I view myself as a person or whatever my situation is. When we have a practical purpose, that means something that we could use every day. It's not weird or strange to do it, to say, hey, I'm a Zhongli person. Everybody kind of accepts it. Our word unambiguous means something is very clear. If we cut off the UN, this becomes ambiguous, means it is very unclear. We're unsure what you're talking about.
But this is unambiguous. It is very clear.
Specifically, this helps residents avoid confusion with those from Taoyuan District, especially since the district shares its name with the entire city. And if you care culturally about identifying yourself as a Zhongli person, then yeah, you probably should make a point of telling me, no, I'm different from this person because of my distinct cultural background. Let's continue on here to our next sentence. Eventually, what started as a local identity has grown into a meme or an inside joke that further strengthens Zhongli's unique character within Taoyuan City. And as just a final note, watch out for that word meme. Some people do actually say meme, M-E-M-E. I don't know how people got that phrasing, but it's definitely meme. Please pay attention. Don't call them memes.
Yeah, that's just a post that gets shared around everywhere on the internet. That's one meaning of it anyway. That's all we have time for today. Please make sure you tune in tomorrow for day 2 of Discover Taoyuan from City Buzz to Ancient Charm. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.